on this kind of the paradox of our interconnectedness and our loneliness as well. Like just from whether it's your own personal experience or the things that you're exploring with other people, like what comes to mind for you in that kind of investigation?
Yeah, it's sort of this, to be lonely in these days means to be hyper connected, which is the paradox, right? So we have all options to, which is amazing, and I love it. To reach out to other people on the other side of the world, or yeah, who are exploring something interesting, and you're able to follow them, or you're able to connect with them, and that's great. And you're able to find sort of your kind of people, in quotations, who are also interested in something super specific, like super nuanced, like crocheting or whatever. It's like baking sourdough things, and that's great. And at the same time, it kind of compensates the, again, sort of the quality of relationships and the quality of connections we ought to be having in our life overall, and sort of the effort that we need to put in for those, that are more than I'm texting you on WhatsApp, I'm exchanging quickly something on LinkedIn, you're following my posts on Instagram, right? This is like a very superficial way on how we interact, and that's happening on the mainstream right now. It's kind of like, yeah, I feel connected. I feel like I'm getting this dopamine spike, and inside of me, and you are from that interaction, but it's not the same as sitting with someone, and that can also happen online. Absolutely, it's not sort of the distinction of real life or online, but sitting with someone in a deeper conversation and in deeper presence and resonance, I guess, with each other. So I think that's sort of where loneliness, perhaps in a more even existential level, is so common, or has become so common, is that the relations and the relationships that we're having are not as profound or not as deep in quality as they could be, and that we're accepting sort of these, yeah, lower quality connections because they're still keeping us afloat. And I think in that we're losing the capacity to ultimately connect from a deeper place, ultimately converse, ultimately think more critically for ourselves, and not just be fed some news on that are highly targeted to feed us a narrative, but like think critically about what is actually truthful to me, and what am I seeing outside in the world or in discussions with people. Is that really true? And to then be able to resolve also conflict in a different way. But I think we're losing sort of these capacities almost, these human capacities that are so essential, I think, for our lives. And in that, we're feeling more and more alone. People feel more and more alone and isolated. So that's one side of it, that is sort of a broader picture than sort of how loneliness is usually being defined or conceived as something either that is just concerning the elderly, the people on the margins. It's kind of like, no, not really, not only them. Yes, also, but not only. And also that it is a public health issue. And it has, if it's chronic loneliness, obviously it's very different symptoms and effects on mental and physical health. But what I'm trying to do is almost broadening sort of the spectrum of what loneliness is, how it can feel, and how by sharing it more, and by allowing us to acknowledge that, yes, we all feel alone and we all feel lonely sometimes, we can actually come together a little bit closer, rather than, further separating us.
There's something I just find so, I don't know, affirming about life, or something like in the paradox of loneliness being the conduit for connection.